All right. Shalom, shalom. Barakat Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, elder bishops here at Great Millstone. A shalom to you brothers that's pushing the work in truth with all sincerity. The title of this lesson will be, He's Already Been a Devious Deceptionist. The NWO is 100 times more greater. All right. He's already been a devious deceptionist. The NWO is 100 times greater. Okay. And the so-called white man has been, playing this role as if he's benevolent, you know, people serving, loving, caring, people, but their policies say a quite different thing, you know, and we're coming into a world where the corruption is going to be 100 times worse. You know, he's already been, finding, doing things a certain way. He's been living by a different code than what he's presenting. And that code is, it's forgery. It's fraud. Okay, it's oppression. It's inequality. And what he's bringing is even more diabolical. All right. We're coming into a time where he is pretty much allocated to himself the most advanced technology, but the world is going to it's going to go into chaos, and it's not going to be an upside to that, especially for the masses of the people. Now we understand that this is actually, what is purpose for the time that we live in, because really the Lord chose the perfect suitor for the job, which is, bringing chaos and taking peace from the earth. But this man in his mind thinks that he's doing the most wonderful thing, only because it only benefits him. All right. And part of the reason why he's going to be, taken out is because of the riches and injuries gotten by deceit. Okay. And, I just got, like one example of many. We can use many, but today I'm just dealing with, predatory capitalism. All right. It was a word I heard from the elder Ariella a while back. And that kind of rang in my head. And I just figured, I'll go into chat and see what we can draw out, put some precepts to it and, and be edified, because this man, the way he's been ruling, all right, has been a lesson. It's been, enlightening. And it definitely shows you how society shouldn't be ran. Okay. Because he's doing it for his own belly. And he's casting off and cutting off many of people. All right. And he doesn't have no feeling towards it. So we're going to fully understand when the Lord brings judgment on him, which is going to be 1,000 times worse, that, his judgment is going to be well deserved. All right. Because he earned it. Okay. He earned it. And let me tell you, the things that he's put in place to advance himself in society, all right, is very cruel, to say the least, but they love hearing those words because, that's just who they are. They're just a different breed. They live by a different code, a different set of rules, whole time they're perpetrating, that they're upstanding, loving, caring, humanitarians, and they're not. They're just the complete opposite. And when you figure that out, when you figure their deception out, that's when they get really angry, as most narcissists do. When you figure them out, So, what do you think that the beast system and the thing that they're employing now with the technology, how much more damage you think that's going to do? All right. There, we're already able to scale it, uh, to kind of project, all right, what is going, where it's going to end up, where the world is going to end up. Okay. In complete chaos and thermonuclear destruction, in certain parts of the planet, you know? And yeah, man, I guess this lesson is just to stick it to them, as the scripture saying here in Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter. All right. I see here. That's the first. Well, let's look. I just seen a precept. Yeah. Let's read that one and we'll jump. So Wisdom of Solomon 1:9 is, for inquisition shall be made into the councils of the ungodly. All right. That's when they get together. They have their sit downs. All right. They have their councils. They have, um, where they delegate about world issues and things that they want to push for the future and so on and so forth. All right. And the sound of his words shall come unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. Right. And every wicked deed that's happening in the earth, when they do these wicked deeds, these things create a vibration and the Lord sees it all. Okay. He sees it all. All right. And they're under the impression that they have been doing it, in the dark. All right. And that's just not the case. Okay. You have been sought out. You've been, as the scriptures say, your skirts have been lifted, you know? So you're just going to get an upgraded version of what we've already seen, the treachery that we've already seen. Okay. And I went to chat, and put in predatory. Well, I asked a more specific question dealing with that, and I applied it to the prison systems and how they keep, how to use capitalism in such a way that's predatory, because their whole philosophy is profit, 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 profit. That is, righteousness to them. Okay. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay. And profit to them is their righteousness. Okay. And this is where they transgress. Okay. Because they put profit over, human life, over the environment, over things that's much more important, because these things, are gifts. These things are, it's from the Most High. Yahweh Shem Shai. But Wisdom of Solomon 2 and let's see here. I'll kind of get straight to the point. All right. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 10, it says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Right. They'll have no mercy. They, all their emotion or sympathy, empathy for others, especially the old and the young, they don't have it. It's not there, and it shouldn't be, but that's the way it is. Okay. And they're going to be, charged for that. They're going to be prosecuted on that just alone. You know how Esau, you commit a crime and he'll trump charges. He'll give you charge after charge after charge. Well, man, there's a long list of charges against the so-called white man, from the Heavenly Father that he has to deal with. All right. And the courts outside the court, which is the heavenly court, a court above all courts. Okay. Because Second Ezra 7:19 goes into the Lord is the highest judge. There's no one higher than him. Okay. Wisdom Solomon 2:11, let our strength be the law of justice. And that's what pretty much we're going to kind of go over. All right. Their policies are created to, forward mischief, and put people at a disadvantage, so that their strength is the law of justice. Excuse me. All right. And they use that to, sabotage, to cut off others to, uh, essentially pad their own pockets in so many other ways. Okay. And putting the weak at a disadvantage, and in this life, poor is considered to be evil, and when we know scripturally, the Lord deals with the poor, God himself, shines upon the poor. God himself loves to help the poor. But this man, of course, he's playing Satan on earth. And so he's the opposite. All right. He's the adversary. Right. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. And that's how they look at the people, especially you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And this is a pure hatred that needs to be studied. All right. That needs to be understood. Okay. Because we have to present something completely opposite, and we will, starting with Yahweh Shai, he's going to bring healing. Okay. And he's going to heal these things. He's going to turn this thing upside down. This way, this standard that has been pushed and predicated all over the earth and set as, the example of democracy, whatever they want to call that has always been, garbage, right? Wisdom of Solomon 2:12, it says, therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. And that's what we're going to kind of go into, how they do that prisoner pipeline, sabotaging whole communities. All right. And leading them to their demise. Now, we've sinned and fell into sin, but not without the help of, here in America from the so-called white man. We lapsed into sin. Okay. Here in our captivity, we have been a long time, in our oppressor's land. We become like the heathen. That's in Baruch, the 3rd chapter, kind of explains that. All right. And so we've taken on their ways. Okay. So, but that's not without the help of him himself pushing that wine, forcing us to drink his wine. All right. Which he transgresses by, okay, which is his philosophy, his policies. Right. And he is clean contrary to our doings. Right. And for them, they want to catch someone up that is naive, vulnerable. They want to exploit the vulnerable, right? Because we're not with what they got going on, right? He upbraideth us with our offending the law, right? And that's what's happening now. When we're on the streets, when we're teaching, when we put out these videos and dealing with Esau, dealing with revealing the wicked, what we upbraided, which is to basically rebuke them, all right, with their offending the law, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're offending the eternal law, the law that establishes everything in this earth. All right. Upbraid. Excuse me. Which here, upbraid, meaning to scold. All right. Reprove, rebuke, charge, reproachfully. And that's what's going on. The wicked are being reproached, okay, for their evil doings, for their, backward law, their backward ways. He is the savage, okay, and he's perpetuated savagery through his secret economics, all right, which he presents as upstanding, upright, but but is the very contrary to what he is saying. All right. He upbraided us with our offending the law. Okay. And objected to our infamy. All right. The transgressings of our education. Right. Where'd you learn that from? The scriptures say that, the wicked, they lose sleep if they can't overthrow a man, if they can't set a snare. They stay up all night. They lose sleep over, trying to plot. Okay, Micah to him. No, not Micah. Yeah, it is Micah. Slack. Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds when the morning is light. They practice it. So they work evil upon their beds. So at night they're planning, they're trying to figure out a way to overthrow, right? And if they're not able to overthrow you, they lose sleep. Okay. It says they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, you see. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay. And this is all predicated off of what? You are worth nothing. You are goy, or, you are the heathen. And the truth of the matter is the Israelites, we're nothing close to heathen. We're a peculiar people. We're the Lord's chosen, you see, and Esau put himself in place of the chosen people. All right. Which is, a stolen identity, stealing identity theft. Okay. And Esau got charges for that in his courts, in his system. Okay. And you can get you can pay a hefty price by identity theft. Okay. So what do you think the Lord is going to do in the high courts? All right. You can fool everybody else, but you're not fooling the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushua. All right. Okay. So that's what Esau's been doing. He's been using violence. All right. He's been taking people's homes, their heritage away from them. Okay. Oppressing a man in their households. It's the damnedest thing. It's the most absurd thing, but that's what's going on. All right. So here, let's get into some particulars. All right. This is what I asked chat a little bit ago. All right. And it says, I just asked it, explain how capitalism can become predatory. For example, they need to fill quotas to keep prisons filled, even if those who are being put away are later exonerated. And it's going to pretty much break down this scheme of theirs. Okay. This mischief by law, by way of law, right? Only so that they can make a profit. Okay. Because Esau is not in the business. He's in the business of gaining, and righteousness to him is profit, how he can profit, how he can make money. That's everything to the devil. All right. When capitalism turns predatory. All right. Again, I got this term from the elder Ariala. All right. And it's been a long time and it just popped in my head, So this is just one of the things that how they've been ruling and transgressing by wine. We're going to get that in a second. But here it says capitalism functions on profit incentives. Okay. It's all about profit, and those incentives follow money wherever it flows, including into systems that were originally designed for public good. See, and they corrupted that. They corrupted the public good. All right. Or the good that it does for the public. All right. When private companies take over public functions like incarceration, healthcare, or bail, the profit motive reshapes the entire operation around revenue generation. See, so it ain't about justice. It ain't about right and wrong. It ain't about who needs this, who doesn't need that. All right. It's about what? It's about revenue generation. Yeah. And that's the transgression. Okay. Because at the cost of lives, you're just making money at the cost of lives, and they don't care because the scriptures say that they have removed all their bowels. So where does it say that? They don't care. He casteth away his bowels. That's what it said. Because while he liveth, he cast away his bowels. Ecclesiasticus 10:9. Why is the earth and ashes proud? There's not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. When you go into this word covetous, it's an envious man, one that doesn't want any good for anyone else. In fact, he wants the good that everyone else has. Covetous, inordinately desirous to obtain and possess avaricious, all right, desirous, okay, covetous, all right, and that's mainly something that someone else possesses. Okay, they have an inordinate desire to obtain and possess things that's not theirs, or they'll destroy it because they don't want anyone to have any type of independency. They want people to worship them as if they're God and go to them, and they're dead set on that. You know, you're gonna worship me or you're gonna die, type of thing. That's how they move. Okay, so moving on, it says the prison industrial complex stands as one of the clearest examples. Private prisons or private prison corporations like Coral Civic and CO Group sign contracts with state governments that include occupancy guarantees, sometimes requiring 80 to 90% capacity at all times, right? So they sign a contract with local governments or state governments, okay? Well, you have to keep these prisons full 80 to 90% of the whole time, okay? And let me tell you something. These last few years, that margin went down. All right, crime has went down. So what do? They just arrest people. Okay, uh, people who are not deserving of it. But that's Babylon. This place, we said it again. This is not your rest. This place literally will destroy you, no matter if you're doing the right thing or not. Especially if you're doing the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, you're just in the same boat as someone that's doing something wicked. And in fact, if you're doing something wicked in the society, you have more of a chance than making it and thriving and being sustained and successful than you have doing things the right way. That's how this thing, and that's why this place has to go. Okay, because this shit is good for nothing. It's absolutely treachery. All right. But again, they like being called that, you know? So it's like, let's see. It says that contractual pressure flows downstream to prosecutors, judges, and law enforcement, creating systematic incentives to arrest more, charge more aggressively, and sentence longer. Right? Right. So it becomes a machine, as it says here. The financial machinery demands bodies and beds, wrongful convictions, over policing of so-called Negro or Black communities, Latino and Native American communities, all right, neighborhoods, and excessive sentencing all become acceptable outcomes within this logic because the quarterly earnings report demands it. And these judges, these cops, all these prosecutors, they can go home and feed their families while they break up other people's families. And this is what capitalism is, because this is what America is. This is how it flows. Okay. All right. And it's a few precepts I get from this, right. Wrongful judgment. That's Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 4. It says, therefore the law is slack and judgment doth never go forth, for the wicked doth compass about the righteous. See? So the wicked, they get into places of authority. Okay. So you don't have a lot of righteous men in authority. You have a lot of wicked, corrupt people in authority. All right. And it says, therefore, wrong judgment proceeded. So they're giving people the wrong verdicts only so they can fulfill those quotas. All right. And they get to go home. They get to live their life and they get the bonuses. They get the vacations while somebody suffers from it. Right. And the scriptures say, all right, that the prey departeth not. All right. Who is the prey? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that's a perpetual parallel. All right. That's something that's been happening to us perpetually, forever. All right. And That's how we know that we the people of this book, because it clearly tells you the position that the Israelites, the sons of God, are going to be in at the end. The scriptures talk about them. What it says, it's in Psalms 50. You know, I forget exactly how it goes, but them. How's it go, Salaki? Now I do want to Psalms 50, Salaki, and then we'll go back because this is just a little bit more on chat. Because yeah, we had a point where our own brother is posing to be us, and they're bringing in this forged, um, blessing, as if they're the chosen people, and putting themselves in our shoes and saying that the Lord is fulfilling prophecy through them, and it's the biggest sham, it's the biggest lie ever going. Okay, all right. So Psalms 50 and 19, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. That's right. Their tongue frameth deceit. All right. And so that's what they're doing to what? To Jake, their own brother, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. Right. That's the word. Accuse us to the Father day and night. All right. But let's go back. All right. So we had. All right. So that contractual pressure flows downstream to prosecutors, judges, and law enforcement, creating systematic incentives to arrest more, charge more aggressively, and sentence longer. All right. And the financial machinery demands bodies and beds, wrongful convictions, over policing of black neighborhoods, and excessive, so you can say black, Latino, and Native American neighborhoods, and excessive sentencing all become acceptable outcomes within this logic, because the quarterly earnings report demands it. You see? So it's all about filling that quota, getting your numbers up at the cost of life. And the thing is, because they don't care for other people's lives, that this is the reason why they're going to lose their kingdom. All right. It's one of the reasons why, of course, other things as well. Right. So Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. Right. And he's transgressing by wine. All right. His consumption of wisdom. All right. Which is a corrupt form of wisdom. OK. And that's what it's dealing with. His philosophies, his policies, things that he put into play. He's transgressing by that. All right. He is a proud man. Why? Because he's rich. Okay. He has the power to do whatever he will. Right. Neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desire as hell. So he's trying to get as much profit. That means more bodies. Right. So he has to push this predatory capitalism toward the four corners of the earth. And that's what he's been doing. That's why we're constantly at war, because he's violent. He's trying to take over everything. OK, he's starting wars in countries. He can't nobody live have their own sovereignty, live autonomously because of his covetousness, because of his greed and his insatiable, as it says, inordinate desire to obtain and possess, things that's not his, things that's others. Okay. Let's go back. All right. So it says communities that have faced discriminatory enforcement since the era of convict leasing, right? That's when slavery was over. We had a thing called convict leasing. It was a loophole in the 13th Amendment where if so-called Negroes didn't have a job, all right, and if they were quote unquote loitering, All right. They could be arrested and put essentially in prison and put in what they call, well, forced into what they call chain gangs. Right. They used to build railroads. They used to build infrastructure of America. All right. But they were essentially kidnapped and put in prisons, and put back into slavery. All right. That was a loophole that the so-called white man was using, you know, right after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation, okay, was not set to free you or give you autonomy or give you sovereignty, but was to transfer you over to another slave master, which would be the corporation. And Esau came up with these big ass ideas only to uh, only to his own detriment, you know. So it says, which itself emerged as a replacement for enslaved labor after Reconstruction. All right. The exoneration problem reveals the deepest rot. All right. So the exoneration reveals the deepest rot. The National Registry of Exonerations documents over 3,300 wrongful convictions overturned since 1989. Many of those people spent years, sometimes decades, inside private facilities generating revenue. Yep. For whole towns. They got these prisons in these rural areas, and they be making tissue. They be making all type of stuff, toothbrushes, essential items. Okay. And those towns be rich. They get rich off of that free labor. All right. And that's just Esau. He continued to run his thing. And so what do you think the NWO is going to be? Right. You think about the treachery and think about this. Right. And this is just one example of many, how they're going to bring in a carbon tax. Essentially, they'll put a tax on breathing. All right. When they come in with this pseudoscience about, people are, us breathing, destroying the earth, and bringing about global warming and all that type of stuff, then we won't be able to travel because we don't have enough carbon credits and all of this madness. And we're already under mass surveillance, a total, complete surveillance state right now as we speak already. Okay. And watch, they're going to create more chaos. All right. So that they create the chaos or, a bad situation, so they can come in and give you, more treacherous remedies. Okay. All right. Salakia. So it says this pattern repeats. Let me see. Okay. So many of those people spent years, sometimes decades, inside private facilities generating revenue. The system produced no correction mechanism. See, no correction mechanism. Why? Because it was never an error on their behalf, because it's always by intent. When you're doing stuff by intent, this is purpose. All right. And it was to pad his pockets. And that's where the transgression lies. But go back. It's like I am doing some jumping around. So forgive me for that. It says, because correction would reduce capacity numbers and threaten contract terms. So it's all about their contract. It's all about their pocket. So Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right? And now the NWO comes in place. Okay. The New World Order. All right. So that's what he's doing now. All right. And he's going to make life a living hell. All right. He's absolutely oversaturated, or when it comes to things like, um, what do you call them? Services. Okay. This man has corrupted even services, and now he's predatory with even the services that they provide. Okay. Because now it's not about just serving you. It's about them finding a loophole to get you to pay more. All right. And then they're, punishing you even far worse. All right. So, and it's just like, man, how could you even, want to be in this place, be in a place like that? This is absolute hell. And people, they're going to realize it. And it's going to be too late for many. Okay. Uh, so, but gathered unto him all nations and heaped unto him all people. All right. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Okay. And that's Esau. All right. Edom. Okay. He's being reproached right now. All right. And people are saying, woe to him. He committing war crimes. He's taking, others, land, all right, resources. Okay. And he's accumulated this huge debt, this, impossible debt to pay back. All right. To the world, to his partners. All right. That's what the thick clay goes into. Ibatya, which is debt, but let's move on. Salakia, it's super late. So it says this pattern repeats across predatory capitalism, payday lenders profit from debt traps, private healthcare profits from chronic illness. See, predatory. And these are other examples, right? This pattern repeats across predatory capitalism. Payday lenders profit from debt traps. Private healthcare profits from chronic illness. And private prisons profit from mass incarceration. The common thread, a financial structure that rewards volume and punishes resolution. So you can't fix this place. I would have healed Babylon, but she can't be healed. It's not going to be healed because of the people that's ruling Esau, Edom. All right. They're just going to continue to exploit. Okay. So Wisdom of Solomon 6:1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn. All right. Ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Right. And who's the judge? The wicked. Job 9:24. Right now, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is it? He put himself up as judge. Okay. Right. Because we know the highest judge is what? Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. Okay. And then the 12. All right. Well, King David, and then, the 12 that sit upon, the 144,000, 12,000 each tribe. Right. Though that's the highest judges in the world. Right. But he put himself there. Okay. It says, give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations, because they glory in the fact that they got all these people as subjects. Right. But they're ruling a complete opposite way. They're living by a complete different code. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 63 says, for power is given you of the Lord. So you received your power from who? The Lord. And sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works, meaning prove. To try your works is to prove your works, right? To see if it's upstanding, if it's upright. Okay. That's what the Lord is doing. And what we're finding out, of course, is that the way this man has been ruling and what he's about to employ in the world right now is absolutely diabolical. And that's why he's going to get taken out at the height, or in such a devastating way or manner, because this man had absolutely no care for anyone. All right. in his society that he was ruling over. All right. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? See, and you thought you were hiding, but the Lord searched out your counsels. He made inquisition of your counsels. He figured out everything that you were doing, all the corruption, all the loopholes, all the things that you tried to dress up as okay and upright, upstanding. The Lord has figured you out. Because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged right, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. See, horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. And I always say Esau is in trouble. He is the one that's in trouble. Yeah, he's going to try to accuse us and try to paint us as the worst thing going. But brother, you are in trouble because you don't know when the judgment is coming. Just like Esau, he'll kick down your door at 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, right? And he'll humiliate you. Well, what do you think the Lord's judgment? The Lord's judgment is even worse. Okay, it's unimaginable. All right. Okay. My battery going dead, Salakia. All right. Habakkuk 1 and 4. We read that one. Ecclesiastes 10 and 8. Get a few more and then we're going to close, Salakia. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So you ain't got to worry about or wonder why society is falling away and why you're losing, your empire, right? Because of the works you put in. It's not hard to see. Amos 5 and 12, it says, for I know your manifold transgressions. And this was dealing with Israel at a point, but this applies to anybody that's wicked and who's ruling in such a manner, right? For I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins. They afflict the just, they take a bribe, and they turn aside the poor in the gate from their right. And that's what, at the local level, outside of the corporations, you got the local government who are, companions with this disorder. Okay. And they allow this disorder. Okay. Right. Proverbs 22 and 16, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Yeah. In the worst way possible. That's how it's going to happen. Woe to them that, Isaiah 10 and 1, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And they give you grievous, a grievous punishment, because they get to set the standard. They get to move the goalposts. Okay. All right. And you're going to have more of that dealing with the NWO. It's going to be 2, 3 times as worse, or 100 times, I said, All right. So, that's pretty much it. Lord willing, this was edifying, and hopefully, let me see where I'm at, really. Okay, 5%. So yeah, hopefully this was edifying, just touching on, predatorial capitalism, so until next time, I say Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shai, Ba'asham, Rakakwadash, Barakatham.